Mining is a fun and very profitable activity in Elite Dangerous, but maybe getting a fully engineered ship for it is a little bit too much of a task for some. So today we're looking at an alternative for a mining ship that doesn't require any engineering. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Downtoearth Astronomy. So today we're looking at a mining build. This build revolves around a Python, and it's going to require zero engineering at all. Of course you can engineer it, but first I just want to quickly touch upon who this build is designed for. The build is, depending on which version of it, I'm going to go through two versions of it, but depending on which version you go for, it's either around 140 or down to 100 mil. So it is quite an expensive build, so it's not necessarily tailored towards newer players, but it's tailored toward, I would say, mid kind of range players, so players who have been playing for quite a while. They have some money to invest into ships, but they may not have unlocked all the engineers, or maybe they just haven't really bothered with the engineers yet at all. So if you just want to get a ship that is not quite, but almost as good as the mining clipper build I did a while ago, but you don't have to bother with all the engineering, just buy the modules and get out there, then this build is definitely for you. So as you can see here, we have our Python. And as I said, there are two versions of this build. There is the version, the more expensive one, that is around the 140 million, which is the one I have here with all the weapons fitted. Weapons can be nice in case you drop down in the ring and pirates come after you. Normally they don't do anything to you if you only have limpets in your cargo hold. But if you are afraid to get interdicted, you want to be able to fire back, then you will need the combat fitted version, which is the one I'm showcasing here. And of course I'll also be talking about the non-combat version, which is about 100 mil. You can shave off a little bit more on the price, but we'll talk about that. But we'll start by having a look at the hard points here. Starting from the bottom, of course we're going to need a seismic charge launcher and we're going to need an abrasion blaster. These two are mandatory if we're going to go core hunting. And again, I should clarify, this is designed for core hunting and core hunting only. For weapons, I've gone with a single beam and two multi-cannons, all gimbaled and of course all large. This gives us a nice rounded DPS, and a nice rounded damage type, so I should say, so we can do some damage to shield, we can do some damage to hulls. I find this combination to be one of my favorites when it comes to dealing with NPC pirates. So if we move over and have a look at the utility mounts. Oh, I should say, of course, obviously if you're going for the non-combat version, you're going to remove the two multi-cannons and you're going to remove the beam lasers. To help you out, I'll put links for both of the builds in the description, so you can go and look at the final ones there. So non-combat version, of course, no hardpoints fitted. But if we look at the utility mounts, we can see here, I have a pulse wave analyzer. Obviously, we need to be able to locate those cores, so we'll need this one. This is mandatory. And for the rest, I fitted 0A shield boosters. This is just to boost our shield. If we're going with the non-combat version, shield boosters are gone and you leave these slots empty. You're of course free to put anything else in them if you really want to, but I would normally keep these empty on the non-combat version of the ship. I'm going to jump over the core internals. I'm going to straight to the optional internals, because depending on what we do here, we have to do some specific things to the core internals. So starting from the bottom with the optional internals, detailed surface scanner, so we can scan the rings and find hotspots. A 3A refinery, giving us a bin count of 8, more than enough to do core hunting, should be sufficient. A 3A prospecting limpet controller. Again, this is slightly overkill. We actually only need a 1A because, well, we don't need two active limpets. But since it was a class 3 slot, why not just fit a class 3? But if you're really, really tight on money, I don't think these are that expensive, but you can just fit a 1A, but fit a 3A while you're at it. Here comes some of the more interesting parts. I've only gone with a single 5A collector limpet controller. And these three slots are actually quite interesting, the class 4 and the class 5s, because you can kind of switch those around as you see fit. I think this ship here, in the current configuration, has about 100 light years of maximum travel range before it runs out of fuel. So you need to take that into consideration when you locate your mining spots. How far will you be traveling from the station to the station, and also have some spare fuel to actually fly around the ring, depending on how long you're going to stay out there. So you don't necessarily need the fuel scoop. You can fit that for an additional collector limpet controller if you want to collect a little faster, if you're not planning to go that far. What you can also do here is you can downgrade your shields to a class 4 instead of the class 5A I have here. Go with a 4A and then go with either a bigger fuel scoop, but probably not recommend that. But you could go with 2 5A collector limpets, giving you a total of 6 collector limpets, and then downgrade the shields down to a class 4. Even for the non-combat version of the build, I would still go with a class 5, just so we have enough shields to survive if we get interdicted, and that we don't get into trouble when the asteroids are exploding or something. It's just a nice, good idea to have a shield, or if you bump into a rock or something. Again, as I said, you can downgrade it to a grade 4 and then go with an extra collector limpet. But again, that's really up to you. So I would say that the 2 options you have here is, or the 3 options you have is this one combination here, upgrade this one to a collector limpet, or you could downgrade the shield as a 3rd option and then get 2 5 collector limpets. So that's up to you what you're doing in this area here. And for the class 6 slots, we're just fitting cargo, giving us a total of 192 tons of cargo. So finally, let's have a look at the core internals. Lightweight alloy, of course, nothing added here. Power plant is a little interesting. If you're going for the combat version of the build, you will most likely need a 7A power plant, and these are quite expensive. This is where you would save most of your money if you're going for the stripped down version. If you're not going for the combat build, you can get away with just using a 5A power plant here, which is going to be a lot cheaper. We go in and look at the prices here, and remember I am at Race Gateway, where there's a 15% discount. So the prices if you buy them anywhere else is going to be 15% higher than this, or well, a little more than 15% actually, but you get my point. And as I said, you will need the 7A power plant, but if you are not running, with the shields and the shield boosters, then you can downgrade this all the way down to a 5A. And if you're also downgrading your shields to a class 4, then you might be able to go even further down with the shields. But again, that depends. I would recommend fitting the largest A-rated power plant that is going to give you sufficient power to run your ship. So you can see here, 6A is not going to do it, a 7B is not going to do it, but a 7A is going to do it. So basically find the smallest A-rated power plant that's going to give you sufficient power to run your ship, depending on the combination of modules that you're using. 5A frameshift drive, of course, that is, thrusters, 6A thrusters. Even though the thrusters are expensive, I would really not recommend you downgrade these. Speed and maneuverability is important, and is going to save you a lot of time when it comes to core hunting. So I would not recommend getting these thrusters downgraded. So keep with the 6A. 5A frameshift drive, nice to get that jump range. 4D life support, get it light so we can jump a little further. 7A power distributor. It is overkill. For the combat build, it might be nice so we can power that beam laser, but for the other, if you're going for the non-combat version, without weapons, without all the shield boosters, you can downgrade this to something smaller if you want a little bit extra jump range or want to save some money. But I would probably, in this case, I stayed with the 7A. 6D sensors, same as with life support, keep it light. And that's pretty much the build, or builds. I would say if you want to take this build further and you want to begin to engineer them, what I would recommend you do is focus on your thrusters first and your frameshift drive to get jump range, and then lightweight your sensors. So a good place to start would be to unlock Felicia Fast here. She's a public engineer, so you will have a knowledge to her right as soon as you start the game. Unlock her and you'll be able to get a grade 5 power frameshift drive upgrade and a grade 3 upgrade on your thrusters and your sensors. That's going to make the ship a lot better, give you a lot more jump range, and it's going to make the ship more maneuverable and faster. So that's a good place to start if you want to get into engineering of this build. And one final thing before we end. I would like to ask you to consider supporting the channel on Patreon. All the money that comes in through Patreon or donations all goes directly back into buying cameras, lights, microphone, software that can accelerate my workflow so I can put out more and better looking, better sounding videos for you guys. So again, I don't take a personal cut of anything that comes out of YouTube at all, actually, but especially not from Patreon. So if you want to support me, there's a link for that in the description below. But thanks a lot for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, remember to give a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys in space.